Well, hello, my badass friends. My name is Cece, and this is my badass life. Today, we're going to talk about sugar. Sugar, sugar, sugar. So, I was having a conversation the other day with a newly diagnosed, I'm always sad to say this, a newly diagnosed colorectal cancer patient and a survivor. And one of the questions that she asked me was, do I do sugar? That is a fascinating question, and it is also an incredibly controversial one on the cancer front. So I am going to share with you my opinion and my approach, and you can do with that what you would like. So sugar and cancer. The biggest question that a lot of people ask is, does sugar cause cancer? Because there are some schools of thought that would say, yes, that sugar could contribute to some cancers. Now, the words could and some are the key words there. And it's a very controversial topic because not all data, not all studies, and not all research agrees. And so when you say to somebody, especially if you are not a cancer survivor, and you say to somebody, don't eat any sugar, sugar causes cancer, oh my God, don't eat that Pop-Tart because sugar causes cancer, you need to know that that's just not the right way to approach it. And so my answer to the person who asked me was, yes, occasionally I eat a little sugar. And let me explain my perspective. My father, before he died, bless his heart, literally had diabetes and heart disease. And so for many years, I watched sodium, I watched fats, and I watched sugar. I counted the grams that I ate, and I ate very little refined sugar in my diet. And there is a difference between naturally occurring sugars and refined or added sugars. And so I ate very little sugar overall, and especially very little added sugar. And guess what? I still got diagnosed with stage 3B rectal cancer. So when somebody said to me shortly after that, after they saw something that I was eating because of chemo, because let me tell you, chemo makes everything taste like shit. And if the only thing that you can eat that day is a Pop-Tart or a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, then that's what you eat. In fact, I had a nurse practitioner tell me if I had to eat an entire box of donuts in a day, that was what I ate if it meant that I ate during chemo. So that being said, when somebody said that to me, I can remember having this reaction because my first thought was to say, I haven't eaten sugar for like the last 20 years and I still got diagnosed. So fast forward to today. So during chemo, I actually did acquire a little bit of a craving for sugar. I don't know if it's chemo. I don't know if it's what it does to your taste buds, but there were some things that they were the only things that tasted good during chemo. One of them was my favorite, and y'all know this, cinnamon frosted Pop-Tarts. Anyway, so what happened was I actually did do homework on the sugar piece of things. And again, it is a very controversial conversation, as many conversations are these days in our world in the United States. But here's what I'm going to tell you. Cancer is a very individualized thing. Every body is different. Every person is different. The way each person approaches cancer is different. And even though we may have similarities, we are not all the same. And so what I'm going to say to you is, you make your decision as to whether sugar is a part of your diet or not before, during, and after cancer. So for me, I will say, I probably eat more sugar now than I did before I got diagnosed, but I still don't eat a lot of it. Okay. And I never did, but I don't deny myself the cookie. I don't deny myself the Dairy Queen treat after I've gone and been poked and prodded or scanned. I don't deny myself a piece of birthday cake. I don't deny myself, a little thing here and there that makes me happy or Dark chocolate is something I'm a big fan of. And so, that is lower sugar and it is better for you, but then you have to worry about the heavy metals, but that's a whole different story. Bottom line is, I don't avoid sugar. I don't eat a ton of it. I don't gorge on it, but I don't avoid it. The things that I do avoid as a colorectal cancer patient, the things that are relatively speaking proven to contribute to colorectal cancer are processed meats. That means lunch meats, that means sausages, that means cured meats, red meat, which is contrary to those pork being the other white meat commercials we saw in the 80s that I was firmly convinced pork was some different kind of white meat. All meat other than poultry or fish is actually red meat. So I limit my intake of red meat because red meat is one of those things that does have a lot of data backing the fact that it can contribute to colorectal cancer. And of course, the red meat that you choose is, all red meats are not created equal. Lean meats, grass-fed meats are better, organic meats, etc., etc. And I do try to focus on eating more vegetables than I do vegetables and fruits. So, I have a plant-based diet, but I do eat protein because my body requires it. So I do eat meat, I eat eggs, I eat dairy, which is another taboo topic for some folks. I don't eliminate gluten in my diet because it doesn't bother me. In fact, it actually helps sometimes a lot to slow my roll when things are moving a little too fast down the poop chute. Bottom line is, you've got to do what works for you. And if you're in the process of chemo or radiation, all bets are off, because whatever your body wants during that time, whatever your taste buds will handle, whatever tastes good, eat it. I was told when I went through treatment that I needed to do a few things every day. I needed to eat, sleep, hydrate, and move. And that is my advice to you. And stop worrying about every single little ounce and gram and milligram of everything you put in your body, because that stress isn't going to help us heal. We do try to focus on healthier sugars. Now, obviously Dairy Queen, not so healthy, but we do a lot of home baking. And so, we eat breads and things like that, and desserts. And I often reduce the amount of sugar in those recipes. I use organic sugars. I use things like honey, naturally occurring sugars, honey, maple syrup, coconut sugar, and also in terms of and then that lowers the sugar content. And then we also will add fruit a lot of times to recipes, and so that you get that natural sugar in there. Sometimes I will add dark chocolate chips to something, or dark chocolate chunks to something, give it a little bit of sweetness without a lot of excess sugar. Dark chocolate does have some beneficial qualities. So just thinking through things like that. Keiko nibs sometimes add just that little bit of sweetness and a chocolatey flavor. And then in terms of my comments about red meat and processed meats, there is one other thing that we do. We also now have switched to indoor grilling. And so when we cook meats on a grill, we can cook them at a much lower temperature, because there is evidence that when you take a processed meat and you add a high heat to it. So for instance, a sausage or a brat, and you add high heat to it, cook it at a temperature over 500, the combination of the nitrates and that high heat creates a chemical reaction that is a much more harmful carcinogen. And so those are just some of the things that we do. I truly believe in everything in moderation, and I find that it's working for me. 2 years in remission. So there you have it. I love you. I know this message is for more than cancer survivors today. So I just want to say thank you all for being here and watching, and I appreciate you. Take care.